My grandmother used to always tell us as kids, like, whatever you want to do, you have to assume what you want to do. Growing up was actually incredible. And if I was asked that question 1,000,000 times, I'd feel the same way every time I get ready to answer that question. When I was a kid, I was a celebrity in the 7th grade because of basketball. When I had Cookie, my whole life just changed. When she was like 2 years old, she was diagnosed with a malignant tumor on her kidney. And so I started acquiring a different knowledge, how you can, change or reverse a condition from just basically changing your diet. Then boom, everything started to change, but it didn't start to change until I started changing. Hi, I'm Ralph Malone, and this is my journey.
Ralph Malone is like many who faced a lifetime full of adversities. However, because of his strong determination, at a young age, Ralph had to learn that it's not how the cards are dealt, but how you play them that makes all the difference.
My grandmother used to always tell us as kids, like, whatever you want to do, you have to assume what you want to do. Or whatever you want to become, you have to assume it. And I can hear a voice in my head right now saying, son, you got to assume what you want to do. You got to assume it, baby. You got to assume it. But when you're a kid, you don't really know what that means. Like, assume it. But as I began to grow and get older, playing sports was a part of my life. Through junior high school, all the way up into high school. McDonald's All-American. So that's what I thought it was gonna be for my life, was basketball. Growing up was actually incredible. And if I was asked that question 1,000,000 times, I'd feel the same way every time I get ready to answer that question, because when I was a kid, I was a celebrity in the 7th grade because of basketball. And I have been playing since I was 5, so just instant celebrity came with basketball as a kid. So my neighbor, one thing led to another. First girl I was with had a kid with her, which he's grown now, but yeah, that was my first kid, my son. And then my next kid was my daughter, Cookie, Jasmine. Wow. I think when I had Cookie, my whole life just changed. I don't know if it was my grandmother praying for so long for me, but when I had Cookie, I went through this whole metamorphosis. When she was like 2 years old, she was diagnosed with a malignant tumor on her kidney. You go from a happy, playful, joyful kid to being diagnosed with a tumor on her kidney. But at the time, I was in the music. Music, streets go hand in hand. You looking for a way to clean your cash up? Go learn how to rap. Well, I had actually gotten really good by the time my daughter was diagnosed with the tumor on her kidney. And here in Atlanta, I had like the #2 record at radio with a song like with Twista, Call You With That. And the record had got really, really big. So Def Jam was like, who is this Malone character taking up our slot from, Jay-Z? Because at the time it was Outkast, Miss Jackson, me with the You With That record featuring Twista, and then Jay-Z, Big Pimpin'. And Def Jam wanted to know, how are you getting this? How is this record? Who is this kid? So at that point, Def Jam just started really following me. And the record began to build and got bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually more companies began to come to the table. Well, at this time, while I'm entertaining all of this, my daughter gets diagnosed with a tumor on her kidney. And they had to take one of the kidneys out. I remember doing BET's Teen Summit at Phillips Arena with the radio station here and having to leave the summit to go to the hospital because they were actually waiting for the test to come in. And as soon as I walked in, my baby had all these IVs in her. But she's a kid, and kids, they don't know pain. She jumped up immediately when I walked through the door. She was like, my daddy's here. So she was ready to play. But the doctor walked in right behind me. And her mom at the time was a nurse. She was like, well, they want to talk to you. And he was like, well, we did find a tumor on her kidney the size of a tomato, and said that they would have to remove one of her kidneys. And to hear that was like, what? You at the peak of your music career, about to get the attention to go into business with a record company, which every artist is aspiring to do, to go into business with them, not to just get a record deal, because I had a company. So I wanted to get a co-venture deal to go into business with them. I had to make a decision right then and there. Either I'm gonna go get the riches, the fame, and leave her mother and her to carry that burden by themselves and eventually just check in on them every now and then, or I'm just gonna have to let my next dream go. Every man, I don't care who he is, he loves his daughter. When a man has a daughter, you change. We act a certain way with boys because we always want to see that part of us through our son. But a daughter, you're never gonna be the same. And I was close to my baby. So I turned the deal down and moved in the hospital. Little did I know it would be for the next 6 years. 3 full living, 3 follow-ups. You wanna talk about something that was hard? My baby went from a healthy, normal baby to losing her hair, her eyebrows, because they had to treat her like a chemo patient. So she lost all of her hair, all of her eyebrows. At one point in time, she was probably 25, 30 pounds, maybe. But she was very, very small. And there wasn't no for sure sign that she was gonna make it, because we know what chemo does to, people. That was tough, man. But it never killed her spirit. She was always happy, always playing, always smiling and telling me something about when she would, the one thing that my daughter would always say is when she would see somebody come in the room with long hair, she would say, because at that time she started talking, she would say, my hair is gonna be long like that one day, isn't it, Daddy? Even now, I can just still remember that, like yesterday. That was painful, real painful. And just to see how tough and how resilient she was, little did I know it was working on me more than it was her. And by this time, I had given up the streets. I started fasting, like, because I wanted to know why was this happening to my child as opposed to, you know, other kids. Was it because of my activity in the streets, or I hadn't killed anybody, but I didn't know why it was happening to me. So I started fasting. And I did my first 40-day fast. The first 10 days, I didn't drink nor eat anything. And then eventually after the first 10 days, I started just all liquid. And at this time, I didn't have any knowledge about fasting or anything. No knowledge, absolutely. I was totally ignorant because I broke out with a staph infection really, really bad. And I mean, it was all over my face. It was on my face, going down my back. And, you know, normally when you're fasting like that, you don't really have any knowledge. You're supposed to clean your body before you go into a long fast like that, because the waste is trying to get outside the body. So I went into this health food store, and this lady, she eventually looked at me and said, "I know what you're doing." So she gave me this stuff and told me to go soak in it, and it cleared it up. But that was many, many moons ago when I first started out with just learning about health and learning about the body and how long it could actually go without food. So after I came down, I probably came down about maybe a week. I went right back up again. And the next time I went 80 days, trying to figure out, I'm fasting for my daughter. I'm trying to figure out what is actually going on. And at this time, I'm reading the Bible from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. I did this for the entire 3 years. I would read the Bible from the time I woke up, from the time I went to bed. I would study. I did a lot of reading. And like I said, my daughter's mom was a nurse, so she had a lot of health books. And I started studying those books. Unbeknownst to her, she had no idea that I was reading those books and studying. And so I started acquiring a different knowledge about health and eating and how you can, you know, change or reverse a condition from just basically, you know, changing your diet. But it took many, many more years of learning more things and finding more people that had far more knowledge on the subject. And I would go into these different seminars just to learn and listen and learn as much information as I could. But also at the same time, I'm still fasting. I'm still trying to find why is my daughter going through this situation without God giving me an answer. Then boom, everything started to change. Everything started to change, but it didn't start to change until I started changing.
On the next, The Journey with LaMarr Woodley.
We go into the hospital to have some removed, only to know that the foods that we're eating was the reason we were there. So I started giving her different foods. I started giving her things that were more alkaline. I wanted to know more information than anybody, because information is a commodity. I just wanted to know more than everybody else.